my favorite authors, Daniel Pink, recently wrote a book called The Power of Regret. Now, Daniel Pink is no new author. He has several New York Times bestsellers called Drive, To Sell Is Human, When, and A Whole New Mind. And he actually has a masterclass that wraps all these concepts together. His recent book, The Power of Regret, actually gives me similar vibes to The Paradox of Choice, which the author's studies on decisions are referenced several times throughout The Power of Regret, so it makes for a great companion read. But in this video, we're going to go over his latest book and reveal what the most common regrets are, what values those regrets are linked to, core human values, and then finally go over one simple trick that will allow you to feel less regret about some failures maybe in your life. Okay, so what are the most common regrets? Well, they start with family, then they gotta move into relationships, then we go into education, career, and finance. This doesn't give you much, right? These are pretty common categories I would expect that most people would have regrets in. But what makes this interesting is actually the core values that are attached to these regrets, which will give us insight into how to avoid them in the long run. So these are the real categories you should be focused on. The first one, foundation regrets, kind of our failure to be responsible. Look for words like too much alcohol, too much video games, too much consumption of TV. When you start to hear those words too much, you should know that there's probably a foundation regret lingering around. The next category is boldness regrets. This is not taking a chance. The lesson here is plain and simple. Speak up, take the trip, ask him out, start the business, do it. Those are the kind of boldness regrets a lot of people hold on to and you want to avoid later in life. Then there's moral regrets. This is just you behaving poorly. This is cheating, being disloyal, harming somebody, hurting somebody, those kind of morality regrets. Finally, there's connection regrets. This is fractured relationships with spouses, kids, friends. Based on his study of regret, you should always err on the side of showing up when it comes to a social activity, just because there's so much study and research on regrets and happiness, and a lot of the answers has to do with connection and community. Now, what if you already have a regret and it's too late for you? You have one, you have a failure, you have a regret, you have something that you don't want to talk about. Now, he has a one-step trick to make you feel better about any regret you might have in life. He calls it at leasting, basically coming up with a silver lining of that regret. So, let's say you went to law school, you failed out of law school. It was a complete failure, you regret going, you weren't in the right mindset, but at least you met your wife there. Basically finding the silver lining. So you can basically at least it, or you can think, how could this decision have gone actually worse? You could have spent all your money in law school. You could have gone all 4 years, became a lawyer, and then decided you hated it. So those are the kinds of things you need to think of when you start reminiscing about past regrets and past failures. Start at leasting and coming up with some ideas. Another example in my own life is when I was beating myself up about not quitting my first job earlier enough. I was being treated very poorly. It was a horrific experience, 3 years of my life that I will never get back. But at least I met some of my best friends who are now working at other jobs, but we still keep in contact and we talk all the time. So I wouldn't have met my best friends if I didn't go through that particular job. So that's a way I think about how I at least some of my past regrets. So again, try to find at least one silver lining of a past regret. I can guarantee you, you will feel a lot better. Now, if you're interested in other books focused on regrets, I recommend a book called Die with Zero. The author actually goes into basically what you would regret by not spending your money early enough, which is an interesting take because there are not a lot of finance books out there that tell you to spend your money early. I filmed an entire review on this book, so I will link it up here and in the description below. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.